World War II notes. The first thing you need to do is study the map of Europe. You're going to start with Belgium, and then you're going to work your way around in a circle like this, and then down here, and then back up again to Great Britain and Belgium. So that's how we're going to learn the countries. So Belgium's right there in the middle. Then you're going to go to Germany, Poland, the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, Austria, Italy, France, North Africa, the Atlantic Ocean, and Great Britain. So again, it's Belgium, Germany, Poland, the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, Austria, Italy, France, North Africa, the Atlantic Ocean, and Great Britain. The key leaders of World War II. In the United States, it was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, who was known for saying a date which will live in infamy. In Great Britain, we have Winston Churchill, who said, "Stay calm and carry on." In Germany, we had Adolf Hitler, who was mostly to blame for World War II. In Italy, we had Benito Mussolini, the OG fascist. In the Soviet Union, we had Joseph Stalin, the unlikely communist ally. What caused World War II? Reason number one, anger and dissatisfaction over the Treaty of Versailles, especially in Germany. Reason number two, the rise of dictators because problems with the treaty and the Depression. Reason number three, appeasement, giving in to demands to avoid a war. The world did not punish early acts of aggression by Italy and Japan, which showed Hitler he could also be aggressive without consequence. The world allowed Hitler to break the Treaty of Versailles, which gave him time to grow stronger. And reason number four, why did Germans follow Hitler? Because he told them what they wanted to hear. You are superior to everyone else. I will make our country the greatest country, no matter what that means for anyone else. All of your problems happen because the world and the Jews are out to get you. He used media and he went viral. What event started World War II? The invasion of Poland, September 1st, 1939. Two sides of World War II and the main countries on each side. The Allied powers were Great Britain, France, Soviet Union, the United States. The Axis powers were Germany, Italy, Japan. When World War II first broke out, America decided to stay out and declared its neutrality or isolation. This is what the American people wanted. They will not be pulled into another European war. We will not loan money to countries at war. We will not sell weapons to country at war. Our ships will not travel in war zones. What was the cash and carry policy? A nation can buy war material from America, but they must fully pay in cash, no credit, and carry them out, meaning come to America and pick them up yourself. American ships cannot transport them. Cash carry ended American isolationism. What was the Lend-Lease Act? Think of words, lend and lease. The United States will help Allied powers with war material and they can repay later. This ends neutrality. Clearly, we are helping Allied powers. The Lend-Lease makes America the arsenal of democracy. What happened at Pearl Harbor and what was the impact? Japan's surprise attacked the U.S. Navy and Army bases in Hawaii, 2,400 people. Impact, America enters World War II 2 years after it started. U.S. declaration of war against Japan, then Germany, and Italy declares war on the United States. What was the date of Pearl Harbor? A date which will live in infamy, December 7th, 1941. Where did U.S. troops first fight Nazis? In North Africa, called Operation Torch. Name all of the African American fighter pilots who flew in Italy. What did they show? The Tuskegee Airmen, that the Air Force's policy of not allowing black men in their ranks was stupid, that bravery and intelligence have nothing to do with race. What was Operation Overlord? Operation Overlord is the name for what has become commonly known as D-Day. This was the plan of how to make a direct attack on Nazi-occupied Europe. It begins with the beach invasion of Normandy, France. Important facts about D-Day. When American, British, and Canadian forces invaded Nazi-occupied France. This is important because it gives Allied forces a safe spot to land all of the troops and materials needed to fight a war against Hitler and the well-entrenched Nazi army. Where was the last battle in Europe? The Battle of Berlin. Berlin is the capital of Germany. It is where Hitler is hiding. American and British troops are coming in from the west. Stalin's Red Army is coming in from the east. The Battle of Berlin is giving to the Soviet Army. The United States does not fight in this battle. It's a good thing. 2 weeks with heavy casualties. What ideology or belief fueled the persecution and extermination of the Jews at the hands of the Nazis? Anti-Semitism. What was the Holocaust? The Holocaust is the time period of about 12 years when Hitler and the Nazis were in power. It includes all the events perpetrated against the Jewish people at the hands of the Nazis. It started with simple acts of discrimination of German Jews, getting more and more violent, and ending with the final solution. What is a genocide? It's an intentional destruction of a targeted group of people. What was the final solution? Is the genocide of the Holocaust. The final solution was Hitler's final solution to the Jewish problem. His solution was systematic murder in death camps, aka extermination camps. In these types of camps, found mostly in Poland, evacuees were automatically killed in gas chambers, in concentration camps. Healthy men and women were worked to death. The impact of the war on minorities at home. At home, women, even more women would take part in the workplace, working to create new materials. Women who wouldn't traditionally work, like married women, and women also joined the armed forces. Most were auxiliary parts of the branches, such as the WASPs, in Air Force, WAVES, in Navy, and eventually the WAC. And with this, women were allowed to become full members of the U.S. military for the first time. African Americans got jobs in the war industry, but at the start were given less pay. Civil rights group won a major victory through protest. Executive Order 8802. This made a pay difference between race illegal in war industry jobs. Just race, not sex. Also, there is a bit of hypocrisy with discrimination in Jim Crow. How could we be supposedly fighting for freedom and democracy abroad? Hispanic Americans. Creation of the Bracero Program. An agreement between the United States and Mexico, which allows Mexicans to come to work on farms in the U.S. The influx of this population caused racial tension, though, brought about Zoot Suit riots, a week of violence between Mexican-American youth and white sailors stationed in California. Zoot suits was a style of suit that used a large amount of fabric and material was rationed, so servicemen considered these suits unpatriotic. They would strip and beat young men caught wearing these outfits. And then finally, Japanese Americans. The Executive Order 9066. This made the West Coast from California, Washington, and Oregon was declared a war zone and put under military occupation. And then it was declared that all people of Japanese ancestry would have to report to internment camps in isolated areas away from the coast. This was done because there was fear Japanese would be spies for Japan. Even though there was no evidence of it, Fred Karamatsu refused to report deportation. He was arrested and found guilty. He took his case all the way up to the Supreme Court. He said that the internment camps violated his constitutional right of habeas corpus, your Fifth Amendment right to fair trial, Fourth to the Seventh Amendment. The Supreme Court upheld the ruling, saying that it was justified under certain circumstances. Now fast forward to the 80s, and the U.S. government officially apologizes for Japanese internment and gives each family $15,000. What role did the government play in the economy during the war? Just like World War I, very hands-on, regulated everything, but businesses were rewarded if they participated in war manufacturing. How was the public's conservation of material in World War II different than in World War I? If you remember, in World War I, sacrificing food and fuel was optional. However, in World War II, it becomes mandatory. This was done through a system of rationing. Each American over a certain age was given a coupon book of stamps to use while buying ration items such as meat, butter, lard, sugar, coffee, and other things. Certain items were restricted or banned, for example. Zippers became illegal because the metal was needed for war. Fuel was rationed, so people had to give up cars. What role did propaganda play during World War II? Just like in World War I, propaganda in World War II got people to do things that weren't fun or easy, like enlisting, buying war bonds, conserving resources, or made them aware of things such as a new fear of spies. So be careful of what you say and who's listening. What was the American war strategy in the Pacific? When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, they also invaded other American territories in the Pacific. For example, the Philippines fell to the Japanese by the end of December. Japanese were brutal to the people living in occupied lands. The Japanese had managed to take over almost every island in the Pacific. So the strategy was to island hope, move from island to island, freeing it from Japanese control, moving closer and closer to Japan itself. What are the key battles in the Pacific? The Battle of Midway. Japan tries to finish the job on Pearl Harbor but fails. It is the first American victory against the Japanese. A bit of good news from a bad situation. Then you have the Battle of Iwo Jima, where the famous picture of the Marines hoisting up the American flag. Then you have the Battle of Okinawa, first invasion of an actual Japanese island. Get an idea of what the battle in Japan might be like? Long, with lots of casualties. What was the name of the secret project to develop the atomic bomb? The Manhattan Project, which took place in secret locations across the country. Why did Truman decide to use the atomic bomb? He was trying to save the lives of American soldiers. Analysis for the use of atomic bombs, arguments for and against. Here's a reason for the atomic bomb. Truman said he approved the use of the atomic bomb to save the lives of many American soldiers as well as Japanese. When being debriefed about the potential invasion of Japan, Truman got various estimates of how many lives would be lost, up to 1 million. So you calculated that loss in the atomic bombs would be far less, and obviously no American casualties. Another reason is it ends the war faster. Another reason is it brings about nuclear energy, which is actually a clean energy source, except for disposal. And also, if you have a meltdown in the reactor, that can be bad. And another reason for the atomic bomb, some political scientists suggest that it creates a balance of peace. Who would be crazy enough to start another world war if that could be the outcome? Although it's a scary peace for sure. Analysis against using the atomic bomb. Not so much of using it was wrong, but maybe giving Japan a clear understanding of what the bomb could do, and then giving them an extra few days to surrender. Or maybe the first bomb, wait until the true destruction of Hiroshima could be fully understood by the Japanese government. Maybe they would. Or its use brought about the atomic era and made the Cold War very scary. Soviet scientists figured out how to make the bomb very quickly. And finally, if the technology falls into the wrong hands like a crazy person, the whole world could be destroyed. Those are the final notes on World War II. Good luck!